Welcome to Escaping Purgatory, a podcast where we rewatch Supernatural, then talk it through in the hopes that we can finally escape this show.
Join us each week and leave comments on upcoming episodes, and together we can escape Supernatural Purgatory. Hello!
Hi!
I love this episode. I'm just going to start this off. I love this episode so much. It's iconic.
It is, yeah.
So many things, and it just made me happy. So happy. Like, it took me a while to get into the episode.
Yes.
Like, I had like lots of false starts watching this. But once it started going, I was just like, oh yeah. And also, one thing I'm like watching this episode, I just remembered a lot of the story beats that actually happened in season 6. So like, we'd mentioned the Alphas thing before, and I was like, oh yeah, the whole weapons thing, the whole Civil War in heaven, like just everything. I was like, oh, and like the meaning of souls and like soul power and all this kind of stuff. And I was just like, oh yeah, that's why, you know, there's the explodiness. And yeah, anyway, I know that's season 7, but was that season 6? No, it's season 6.
Yeah, and like you're right, yeah. I feel like this is where the season starts, this episode.
Yes, yeah, definitely. Because the car's gone too.
Yeah, we did. We were trying to remember, weren't we? Like, what happens to Sam's car? But like, I guess we got our answer. Like this, yeah.
I kind of wished that I know it's me. We're skipping ahead in the episode, even though we're not there yet. I kind of wished that the car was completely destroyed, like, because there's 2 angels that fell on it, not 2 humans. Like, can you imagine the density of that? Like an angel in a vessel, and just like it like obliterates the car. I think that'd be hilarious.
No, you're right. I didn't think about them having like a greater mass than humans. That's true.
But the other thing is, like, why did they fall? They're angels. They still had wings at this point.
It was like slow-mo as well, right? So it's like, you have all this time to not fall.
And like, maybe I'll talk. No, I won't talk about it. I won't talk about it now. Like, throughout this whole entire episode, all up to that point, you've seen Cass like just bop in and out into different places.
Yeah.
So like, why could he not just like boop?
You're so right. I've never thought of that before. It was only to destroy the car, which can only mean that Cass did it on purpose. He hated the car.
Yeah. His bond with Dean he knew that he wanted the car gone.
He felt the hatred for the car.
Yeah.
He was like, I'm going to destroy it.
That's too funny.
Oh.
Too funny. Yeah. So, I haven't even introduced the episode that we're doing.
So this is season 6, episode 3, The Third Man. It's also the 3rd episode. I see what they did there. It's written by Ben Edlund, my boy.
Hey.
And directed by Bob Singer. They're like, I actually couldn't tell.
I know, neither could I. I was like, oh.
Yeah. Apart from maybe the window shot, like where they were actually falling out the window, I was like, maybe. Maybe. There were no zooms, and there were so many good places for zooms in this.
There were some very good places for zooms. So I feel like there is a lot of window breaking in season 6. Especially when Balthazar's around.
Yeah, maybe he's the angels of like defenestration, you know. Maybe that's what he's in charge of. Is that the word? That is, right? Falling out of a window. Defenestration?
I think so. I was just agreeing with you because I don't know these things. I just assumed you're correct.
Don't just assume that, because I say things with conviction that I know are wrong. I lie for fun. So you're doing
it right. Okay, so saying that, I wonder if it's a signature move for Bob Singer to throw people out of a window because of the French mistake. Because it's Bob Singer who is directing that episode. Like, he's directing the French mistake, and they go through a window.
That would be such a good in-joke. Again, convention question. I hope someone is writing all these down. That's your homework. Go back through our 100 so episodes and find all our convention questions. And I want you to compile a list. No, I'm joking. It's fine. Yeah. I reckon that is the case. Yeah. I think it is. That makes good. That's a good point. Mm-hmm. One reason I did know that this was him is that he used the same shot for Cass teleporting as they used in, is it All Hell Breaks Loose with the Hellhounds? When Joe and Ellen die, when Cass gets out of the car, he like looks up in a window and like teleports himself there, and they use the exact same shot in this episode, and like I think that was Bob Singer too. But I'd have to look back to see, and I'm lazy.
You're good. You are good. So we can get into the episode.
We can. We've talked enough about directorial stuff that we actually know nothing about. I feel like we sometimes talk on this like we're like, yeah, I know about stuff and cameras and lenses and like how people move things in TV shows, but no.
We've just watched a lot of TV. We have 30 odd years of watching TV. I think we can discuss it quite competently.
That's true. I do have very good experience of watching TV. I recently this is out like completely off topic. I recently rewatched within the last year, 2 years, all 17 million seasons of Grey's Anatomy. So I feel like, you know, I put in my hours to be an expert on network television.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with you on that.
Yeah.
All right. So we start with the recap, and it's a little bit of the first 2 episodes. Dean meeting up or seeing Sam for the first time. The argument that they had about, you know, Sam being gone for a year, and then Lisa telling Dean that, you know, you need to go, you're a hunter, and now that you know your brother's out there, you know, it just makes sense for you to do that. Just come back when you can and in one piece. And it shows the Dean like pulling off the tarp from the Impala, and then it does like a hard cut into like previous episodes, so showing the Archangels. It's got a little bit of Lucifer in it, and then Raphael as well. When I cannot remember the name of that episode. It's another Ben Edlund episode. I just don't remember what the name of it was.
Free to Be You and Me.
Free to Be You and Me, yes. I knew it was a fanfic episode. I just couldn't remember what it was. Where Raphael gets caught in the holy fire, and that's actually the last time we see him.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, it's an angel episode. I wonder who's going to be in it. And then it also shows the end of Swan Song with Cass saying that he's going to return to heaven because there's going to be total anarchy up in heaven.
Yeah.
So then, probably the worst part of this episode, I hate this and the other one. I hate, all the deaths in this episode I actually hate. Because it's all body horror stuff, and I don't enjoy that. I am not a Cronenberg fan.
No, me neither.
No.
No.
Too goopy, too bleh.
Yeah.
Nope.
I agree.
So there's a police officer, his name's Jerry, and he's like washing his face, and he noticed a cut on his cheek, and he's like, oh, what's this all about? He then goes to the other, and it's like not really doing anything. He sees the other side, and he's also got another cut on his cheek, and like he presses on it, and his skin falls away.
It's gross.
It really is. It's really, really gross. He then starts to panic, obviously. Yeah. Because it's like he's bleeding in other places, and then he steps back, and his feet are all bleeding. And then he explodes.
Yeah, he liquidates. But
yeah, there's
not enough viscera, I feel, for a whole human. Yeah.
I agree. But I mean, this is also network TV, so they probably couldn't do as much as they wanted with it. And I mean, they showed just a little bit, right? We didn't see like the back end.
Yeah, I get you.
The other thing when I initially thought this, I was like, because of the like of Raphael like coming, being in the recap.
Yeah.
I thought that his vessel was destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
And that he was trying to take this police officer's vessel, and that was like because we see that in later seasons where like vessels basically explode in the same way.
Yes, you're right. Yeah, I thought a similar thing actually. I wondered if that was the case. Some angel shenanigans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And especially like with how the next death happens as well. I thought, but then I was like, why would an angel be like hiding in the trees?
Yeah, just like come smite somebody. Come on.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah, so in hard contrast to the like bloody prologue, we get Dean waking up next to Lisa, and they're all being like lovey-dovey in the morning. But like Dean is getting distracted from kissing Lisa by a sound of like a heartbeat, which I didn't quite understand. Like I don't understand where that came from. It doesn't make any. I guess his own. I don't know. Whatever. But then, like, he gets woken up from the dream that it is, and he's actually asleep in the Impala, getting woken up by traffic. And they kind of do, like, this weird, comparison between him and Sam, which, like, I don't even know. I don't know what they were trying to compare. Like, just that...
Their hunting styles, I think.
That Sam is different now, because, like, normally it'd be Sam, like, waking up in the same way as... I guess so, you're right. So, yeah, we see, like, Sam working out, shirtless. You know, fan service.
Fan service. I mean, they had, like, Dean semi-shirtless with Lisa, so...
That's true. I don't know why, but that didn't register, I feel, to me.
You've seen it too much.
Yeah, too much.
And also, is like in much more seductive lighting, so it's like a bit darker. You can't really see anything.
You're so right. It is. It's. They're putting on a show of Sam's body, where I feel like Dean's was just situational.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So. Yeah, they show them both, like, stretching and stuff. And, like, obviously Dean is just in his hunter gear. And Sam is shirtless and, like, super sweaty. I don't know. Right. I don't know if I'm just strange. I don't understand the sweaty, shirtless man appeal. I don't get it. I don't find it attractive to me. Like, I guess I understand why some people would. But, like, I just like, shower and then, like... Maybe it'd be better.
Yeah,
it's the sweat. I don't get it.
I'm just trying to think. Like, do I?
Do you?
Do I answer this? Do I answer this, or do I not? I think I will, but maybe I won't put it in. I'm trying to think. So I like in real life. Would I like this? Probably not.
Okay.
But on screen, yeah, I like this.
I think that's a fair answer, because it is like like fantasy and reality are two different things, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
You should watch, and you can leave this in if you want to, because it is related. ContraPoints just put out a new video about Twilight, but it's not really about Twilight, but it is about Twilight.
I watched the whole thing.
It's so good, and it goes into this exact point, actually, of like just because you think something is sexy, it's probably not.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. So yeah, but I don't get it. I'm just gonna say that out now, and I know people think this is like Sam doing like chin ups or whatever is an iconic thing, but I don't know. It's just not. Yeah, it doesn't push my buttons. It's what I'm saying is it's fan service. So we see,
oh yeah, absolutely,
yeah, we see like the whole shirtless thing, and like also like who works out in their jeans? Nobody does that. especially slung that low. Like, yeah, it's...
The people who do work out in jeans are the old men at the gym.
I would know that. Like,
I know.
I've seen it. If I went to the gym, I would know. So yeah, a woman appears as well while Sam is working out, and I found this scene so funny because he says nothing.
He says nothing. I'm gonna push back on Edlund on this one.
Okay.
I don't like the way that the woman here is portrayed, like as if like she likes him so much because he's so mysterious. Like in reality, like you would just be like, "What the hell, dude?
Yeah,
what's your problem?" Like
this whole exchange, he gives her nothing. Like there's nothing.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Yeah. Basically, this whole exchange happens when she's like, "It was the best night of my life," or whatever, and you think it's some girl that he picked up at a bar, and he literally is just like, "Yeah, that's it." I think that's pretty much it. And so she goes to leave. Right, she says, "All like, you're so mysterious. It's so amazing." And then she goes to leave, and then as she does, like Sam holds out some money, so she's clearly a sex worker. And she's like, "Oh, I almost forgot." Like, as if. Firstly, that's your business. You're never going to forget with, like... Also, you get the money up front.
No matter. Yes. Everybody knows this. Everybody knows this. No, nobody is that good that you would forget to get paid.
No.
Nobody.
That's ridiculous. I guess...
Absolutely.
Maybe, I don't know, maybe, like, soulless sex is just the absolute, like, pinnacle, and we... Like, who knows?
No. You can never convince me that getting paid is, like, not getting paid for a service is better than doing the service. No.
Exactly. it just, this felt so male fantasy that I, like, was laughing at it. Like,
yeah. What made me laugh the most about this, though, is, like, she was a dead ringer for Ruby.
The hotel room was as well. You know, where Dean first finds, like, Sam and Ruby hang out when he comes back from hell. Like, it all looks exactly like that.
I mean, so I actually got this scene and that confused because it's basically the same thing. He's also shirtless in that, too. And Ruby comes out of the bathroom.
Yeah.
As well.
The room, like it could be the same room. Like, I'd have to go back and, like, check side by side, but, like, it could be. Yeah. So the woman leaves her number as well. Again, male fantasy. And she says, "You can call me on my night off." So he immediately, like, throws that away as the phone rings and sort of gets on with his day. So I guess as well, it's supposed to show in contrast Sam now to Sam previously, because Sam was actually always quite, like, sweet with women, I think, you know, like, quite caring and respectful. And although it's been implied before that Dean does pay for sex sometimes, it's never seemed like that happens for Sam. So, like, yeah, I don't know. That's it, isn't it? That is just the contrast. Because it is called out in this episode, like, a fair amount.
Definitely is, yeah.
So Dean is calling Sam, because we cut to him, and he's saying that he's, like, 8 hours away from the Campbell base, which is clearly where he's heading to, like, go on the next assignment for hunting. But Sam immediately changes his plans and say that he's in a town called Easter, which is amazing, in Pennsylvania, because he's found a case.
A case?
When? It's been like a day and a half.
I like to work. Apparently.
I think for the whole year that he's not been with Dean, it's just been, like, constant. Just like, we keep going back to it, Mystery Spot. That episode, I feel, is so lines up with how Sam is now. It's almost like they're trying to make a comment on, like, maybe they are each other's soul.
Yeah, it could be. I don't remember if Soulless Sam, he doesn't sleep, right?
Is that right? It sounds right.
It sounds right?
Yeah. Well, I'll soon find out, I bet.
Yeah, that's true. Probably in the next episode, to be honest.
We keep saying this, we're like, I can't remember if this happened. It like immediately comes back up again.
Exactly.
So, yeah, like, Sam ends the call with saying, just call me when you get into town, like, hangs up on him. And Dean looks at his phone in disbelief and says, who died and made you boss?
So I think this is what we were saying last time, actually, or last episode. The banter was missing.
Yes.
And I actually attribute that to the fact that it was a new writer. I do think that if you're coming in with characters you've never written before, that you don't know how they really talk to each other. And this is why it feels like a Supernatural episode, because there are so many quips between all of them, all of the people in this episode, that it's just like, oh yeah, this is Supernatural. Like, it's not just about hunting monsters and all that. It's like the interactions between each of the characters.
And Ben Edlund is like super good at that. Like between between the characters that we know, he knows them well and their speech patterns. Like, yeah. And that's why he comes up with so many iconic lines. I feel like a lot of them are from his episodes.
Yeah, exactly.
So we cut to another police officer. He's clearly a poor police officer. He's like at the side of the road doing the speed gun, and he does see someone like speeding, and he's like, it's not fast enough. Like, I can't be bothered. And he's drinking out of like a massive cup that he's putting alcohol in. Like, he's not a good guy. He gets a phone call and there's some contention. He's clearly talking about the liquidated. I call it liquidated police officer. I'm going with that. That's fine. And someone else is calling him about that, and he's just like, no, we carry on with what we're doing. So he's involved. He hangs up and we see something in the bushes like coming towards him, and then it's so gross, like boils start appearing on his face like really quickly. He does manage to call like dispatch before he eventually chokes and dies, but it's like it's gross.
Yeah,
I was expecting the boils to explode, and I am grateful that they didn't.
Well, they've already had one explosion, though. Actually, if this was a Kripke episode, yeah, they would have exploded.
They would have exploded, yeah. Ugh. I can't be with the pus, no.
Don't say that word. Oh my god, that said like, I don't generally have bad reactions to words, but something about the way you just said that, I was like,
yep. Definitely never using that again.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So we cut back to Sam and Dean, and they're in suits being fed. Sam's already there, like waiting for Dean, leaning against his fancy car, and Dean drives up in his really loud Impala. He's talking to Ben on the phone as well. I really like this conversation, but like because what it's saying is that Ben called Dean to tell him that he broke something that he doesn't want to tell Lisa, and like the way Dean's talking to him is quite sweet, sort of.
Because I lied professionally. That's how. I tell your mom that you broke the damn thing and take it like a man.
I hate the way you worded it, but what he was saying was correct. If that makes sense.
Yes. I mean, the way it's worded is how people used to speak, exactly. So it's fine.
And it's how Dean speaks.
People still say it now.
Yeah. So Sam gives him like a little like crap for this. He's like, molding the minds of tomorrow. Who knew? And Sam asks like how it went with Lisa. You know, like I guess he's thinking like the breakup, because that's presumably what happened. And when Dean says she's like shockingly cool, Sam just goes, "Oh, fine, better for everybody then." Like, but the way I feel like the way Sam asked him about like how did she take it, he's thinking that he's completely uninvolved with Lisa and Ben anymore, even though Dean just came off the phone with Ben. It's kind of a bit strange.
Yeah.
So then Dean kind of quips back like, well, yeah, you know, I suppose, but like you're still driving that piece of crap. And Sam just comes back with, "What's your mileage?" I bet it's awful.
True.
Yeah, I bet it's truly awful. So they're in the police station. They're going to the morgue, talking about the police officer who exploded, first of all. And Sam says, like, the guy liquefied, mostly meat, bones, dense tissues. They just turned into blood, which kind of explains actually why there wasn't like loads of gore everywhere. Yeah, it's just blood. And then Dean's like, well, if that happened, then why are we at the morgue? Like, there's nothing left.
Right.
So Sam opens a drawer. It's like, well, it's not him we're looking at. And I found this so stupid. I don't know why. He pulls back a sheet, and the guy is like, first of all,
not the same.
It's not the same. It's clearly just a model. I know, obviously. But he looks completely different to the guy that was in the car. Like, just his stature and everything. So, he explains they found him dead in his patrol car. They think it was an extreme allergic reaction. And it says that he was covered in boils and on the inside too. Dean suggests this could be witches. And Sam's like, yeah, I thought so too, but I can't find anything that actually suggests that it is witches.
So it's clear that he's been like researching the case.
Yes.
While he's been waiting. Like he really has not stopped. It's just like, you weren't here, so I tried to look for witches kind of thing.
Yeah. That's actually a really good point. He's just on the go, like, non-stop. Dean's line here, like, again, like, such a better line, like...
There's got to be some sort of link between skid mark and bubble wrap here.
Oh, that was so good. That was so good.
So stupid. But again, like, there's no reaction from Sam. He doesn't even look at him like, what did you just say? He's just like, yeah, no. So there's a witness, the other police officer that was in the locker room, and he was Hatch's partner. So I think the liquefied guy's partner, or the bubble wrap guy's partner, one of their partners. It all links together in the end.
The skid mark. Skid mark.
Thanks. I mean, they're bad dudes. So
they're awful cops, so they don't. Awful fictional cops.
Awful fictional cops. So we go to. It's like the Impala shot, but it's of Sam's car. You know, they're doing one down the road, but then Dean like pulls in front of him, like. And when they get out, Sam's like, "Were you racing me?" And he's like, "No, I was kicking your ass." So they knock on the door of the house, and the third police officer opens it, and he's in full dress uniform. Dean just says, "Looking sharp, Kojak." And this guy is off. Like, he's just sort of staring into the middle distance. And they say that they're here to ask about his partner's death, and he just says, "Don't worry about it, it's nobody's business." Just shuts the door. Sam kicks it in with an impressively high kick, I would say.
Yeah.
So they find him still in dress uniform, obviously, including hat. That is an important detail. Scratching out all the faces in his like family photos and his own portrait, and he's just kind of really involved in that as they're asking him questions. And he finally answers when they ask about any enemies that they might have had. And he said, "They both had it coming, me too. I'll be the next to go, and then it'll be over, and God will be satisfied."
If that wasn't a clue for what this was, I don't know.
Exactly. Dean asks, "Why does God want you dead?" And he says, "Because of Christopher Birch." And then, like, as he's talking, he like knocks over like a bottle of alcohol and just watches it like goop onto the floor. And then they ask who Christopher Birch is. He just says he has no face, and he's just like carrying on, like scratching this stuff out. It's quite proper creepy, and it just gets more and more uncomfortable as they're asking him questions. And he eventually says, like, Christopher Birch is a kid with no face and a planted gun. And then blood starts coming out from under his hat, like down his face. And then he starts scratching his head under his hat. And he's like, oh, my head's been itching all day. And then just like slams face forward into the table. It's gross. It's so gross. I couldn't remember what it was. I knew it was something under the hat. Like as soon as I opened the door, I remember my brain was like, yeah.
It's the hat.
Yeah.
It's the hat.
I couldn't remember like if he was like his brain was out, which I guess it kind of is, but like I didn't. Yeah. Anyway, so Sam checks and he's dead, and they just sort of stand there awkwardly, and then they hear like this buzzing sound, and Dean's like, "Did you hear that?" And then I think Dean would have left it, but like Sam takes off the hat, and all these locusts are like crawling out of his head. So they'd be like, eating his brain. That's why he was so strange.
Body horror. We need to start with that.
That's the last of it, I think. That's it. It's done now.
Yes.
So again, like back at the hotel room, they're still investigating this, and they're saying like blood boil. Right, this is a really funny moment for me, like personally. So obviously there's like a kind of like an ad break thingy, like a cut between them going. I can't remember. It's like a pause. And I was watching this with my husband, and I was like, "Oh, blood, boils, and locusts. That's the Egyptian plagues." And then it cuts to Dean, and he goes, "Blood, boils, locusts." Like word for word, exactly what I said. We looked at each other like, ah.
Blood, boils, locusts. 3 of your more popular Egyptian plagues.
They've kept the locusts too. Why would you keep the locusts? Are they supernatural? I don't know. I guess I
don't.
Oh,
it was a prop to use, I guess. I feel bad for those locusts though, just because of like the jar gets tossed around.
I don't know. I'm sure they weren't real locusts when they were getting thrown about, but like in universe, yes, poor locusts.
I mean, they're also insects, so.
I think like they still come under animal welfare. Oh, I don't know though. They did like flamethrower those bees, so like. Whoops. So yeah, they're saying like it does sound like that, but it's also different. Like Dean says, these guys ate their way out of a cop's melon. I don't quite remember that in the King James. Obviously referring to the King James Bible.
Yeah.
And Sam's been looking at Christopher Birch, and he was shot after a vehicle pursuit, and those 3 police officers were involved. And they all filed like the exact same report, so dodgy as. So Dean even says, Dean is not a big fan of the police in the show, like because I think he probably does get pulled over a lot as well, and like you see him getting arrested even in the first episode, because he just says, yeah, kid with no face and a planted gun, bunch of dicks, like just with quite a lot of vitriol actually.
Yeah.
And Sam says, maybe he was right, like maybe heaven has a hate on for bad cops. I mean, it is biblical plague, so like why aren't angels involved? So they're making the connection to angels, maybe like post-apocalypse, they're going rogue or whatever. And he's like, well, it's just called Cass. And Sam's like, well, no, he's not been. I've tried. Like, I've tried a lot, and he's not been answering me at all. He's a son of a bitch won't answer the phone. So Dean's like sat there, and he's like, well, let me try. So he does this like little prayer. It's so stupid that like he thinks like to. I guess Dean doesn't know how to pray, but like he still feels like he has to like clasp his hands and like, yeah. So he says like,
now I lay me down to sleep. I pray to Castiel to get his feathery ass down here.
And then starts sort of shouting at the sky, like, come on, Cass, don't be a dick. We've got ourselves a plague-like situation down here. And he's like, do you copy? And there's like a pause. And then we hear like the... and Sam's like, well, see what I said? The son of a bitch doesn't answer. And then he's like, oh, he's right. He's right behind me. Isn't he? And Cass just says,
hello.
I always forget how deep his voice is, like every season. And I feel like even Misha from where he started with Cass to where he ended with Cass is still deeper. Like they all do it, but like how did he even get any like more like gravelly?
I don't know. And how is his like voice not completely destroyed from it?
Still, I wonder. He must have had to go on like vocal rest during the hiatus, surely. Yeah. But they're like, they're all doing conventions, so like, no, he wasn't.
he was drinking a lot of hot water and lemon.
You hope so.
On set.
Hello? Yes.
So I love this. Sam just being like, hello? Yes. And the imitation that he does, he's like, hello? He's like, that still is the term. And like, this is the most emotion that Sam has shown this entire like season so far. He's like, I spent all that time trying to get through to you. Dean calls once and now it's hello. It's so great. He's like, yes. He says the obvious, like, he says the thing that we all think out loud. Yeah. He says,
so what, you like him better or something?
Iconic line.
Yes.
Absolutely iconic line. One of many. Cass says,
Dean and I do share a more profound bond. I wasn't going to mention it.
I love his body language. It's like, sorry, this is obvious, but I wasn't going to say anything. I didn't drag about how. Like, we just get on better, Sam.
I literally touched his soul. Yeah. Like,
you know, branded. That kind of, you know.
Yeah. That's a big deal in some circles. And so like Dean has to like clarify to Cass like what Sam means by like why Sam's so upset, because it's like he's been looking for you to try and find answers, and like, you know, he comes about without a clue, and like you haven't got 5 freaking minutes to like give him some answers. And Cass is like, well, if I had answers, I might have responded. It's funny he said might have.
Yeah.
Like, not that he would, but maybe. But I don't. I have no idea who brought you back from the cage or why. Sam's asked if it was God, and Cass says, well, nobody's seen God. The whole thing remains mysterious.
So, just a point here. I don't know if you remember the rest of the season. Cass is outright lying here. Because it was Cass. Cass brought him back from the cage.
He did?
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
So
nope, I don't remember that.
I guess spoilers. Cass brought him back without a soul accidentally, but doesn't want to admit that he fucked up bad. So he's just lying.
So Cass has taken on a lot of human traits.
There's a lot of lying from Cass in this season. I do
remember. That does ring a bell now. That like the constant lies.
Yeah. It all comes out. It all comes out in a very good episode. But like, this is the lying. But it's fine. He learned it from the best.
What I mean, professional liar is his best friend with a soul bond.
Yeah, you know. So they rubbed off on him in the wrong sort of way.
Sorry, I'm gonna cut that out because my head is in the gutter today, like really, really badly.
Look, if Sam calls, you answer. Okay, you wing your ass down here and you tell him, I don't know, just because we have some sort of a bond or whatever.
And Cass like, you think I called because of you? I came because of this. And he walks towards where all the research is. And it's like, Dean says, oh, well, it's nice to know you, what matters. And just the quip back of like, it does help one focus.
He's so much more straightforward, Kat. I feel like he's funnier, but like, I don't know. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's like, I like the way Ben Edlund writes Cass.
Definitely. So Sam's questioning if it was the angels that are doing it. Cass says no, we don't know who, but it's committed by one of the weapons, and it's the staff of Moses. And Sam's like, the staff? And Sam's like, well, I thought, the staff turned into a river of blood, not one dude. And Cass is like, well, the weapon is probably not like at its full capacity. so we can rule Moses out as suspect. You think? Pretty sure Moses hasn't been around for, generations. Millennia, even. So Dean asks, why is this weapon out? Like, don't you put your toys away? And Cass explains that before the apocalypse, heaven may have been corrupt, but it was stable and the staff was safely contained. But since all of the chaos and confusion, a number of the weapons have been stolen and they have made their way onto Earth. And Cass needs their help to get all of these weapons back. And again, this was another plot point that I was like, oh yeah, this is all connected to like the alphas, because some of them have them, and like that's why they make it. I feel like that's why they make a deal with the vampire, because they have to get one of the weapons back.
Yeah, you're right.
It's all like there's a lot of like basis in this, like a lot of establishing that goes on in this episode for things that happen later on.
But I also, like, they do make that point in this, like Cass just comes down and like drops a load of like bombs. It's like, yeah, civil war in heaven, loads of weapons loose, like I'm doing loads of stuff that you don't even know about, like screw you guys, basically. Like he hasn't talked to them at all for like the past year.
Yeah, definitely. So Sam's not pleased, he says, that's rich, really. And then again, another iconic line.
Sam, Dean, my people skills are rusty. Pardon me, but I have spent the last year as a multi-dimensional wavelength of celestial intent. But believe me, you do not want that weapon down here. Help me find it, or more people will die.
Dean's like, okay, fine, we'll work it. We'll work the case. So we need to get back to a motive. And Cass is like, what's a motive? And Sam says, back to the case. We've got 3 dead cops. The only thing linking them is this, and it's a newspaper clipping of father of slain suspect calls for investigation. We then get teleported into, or we then cut to, the Birch family home, because there's a lot of teleportation in this episode.
Yeah.
And the father is like cutting up another newspaper clipping with the report of the officer dying in the precinct.
Yeah.
Question is, when we find out who did it,
yeah,
how did he get into the precinct?
Maybe, I don't know, maybe it doesn't have, because it implies he has to be close because of the like whole, maybe not though. Whoa. Maybe it was just a red herring looking at him through the bushes.
Maybe.
I don't know.
And maybe it is, maybe it's like delayed.
Or that could be like the intent going towards him, like.
Yeah, true. Then like a young boy, approaches the dad and says, how many times are you going to read that? Just throw it away. And the dad's like mumbling, kind of looking upset, saying, go back out and play. Then Sam, Dean, and Cass just appear in the living room. And obviously the dad is completely, Daryl, his name is completely shocked. And they show that like they have FBI badges and like you can't just walk in here.
No, but Sam's absolute like ghoul. They've just teleported into this guy's living room. He's just like, FBI.
FBI, like he's really angry. He's like, can you, so obviously with the climate of the world as it is right now, it hasn't changed from this.
Yeah.
Sorry to bring it down for a little bit. But can you imagine if you're this? So the Christopher Birch was a black kid who got shot by the police. That's how it's relevant to what it is today. And like, can you imagine you're the dad of a murdered son, right? Three white guys who are FBI show up with attitudes, accusing you of killing the police that killed your son. Like, it's actually a mercy that Cass like knocks him out, because I was not pleased with this part. I mean, obviously the questions that they were asking is about the staff of Moses, so it's like he gets derailed on that. But like the premise of it, I was just like,
it's such,
I don't know.
It's bad optics. Like, yeah. I think...
Yeah, it was not good.
I guess what they were trying to say is, like, Cass doesn't understand the intricacies of the situation because they were a bit surprised that he just teleported them there. Like, Sam and Dean maybe wouldn't have approached it that way, but Cass is just like... Yeah, fine. We need answers. Let's go. Yeah. I guess you could forgive it that way, but I do understand what you mean.
Yeah.
It's not good look.
No, it's not a good look at all. So yeah, Cass knocks him out. He sits onto the couch, and then you see the boy behind them, and he's brandishing the staff. It's Sam says, shouldn't it be bigger? And it looks like it's been cut off. Dean is the only one with any compassion in this situation. Like, even when they showed up, he's like, hey, a bit of warning, like, next time. Warning for them and warning for the, the person they're going to come talk to. And Dean also reassures Aaron to say, like, no, he's fine. He's just sleeping. And, like, because Cass is an angel, he could just, like, get behind Aaron and, like, rips the stick away. Like, give me that.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, take it easy. Like, we're not going to hurt you, kid. But we need to know, where did you get this? And Aaron's obviously very scared. He says, please don't kill my dad. It was me. I did it. And he's like, well, nobody's going to kill anybody. Like, just what's your name? And, he asks where he got it. And Aaron says, you won't believe me. And he got it from an angel. And that Aaron had prayed to God for several days, and, God didn't answer, but he did. And Cass asked for the name, and Aaron says he didn't say what his name was. He just gave me the stick. And he's like, he just gave you the stick.
He didn't just give it to you, did he, Aaron?
I bought it.
You bought it? With what? What's your allowance?
And it's revealed that Aaron sold his soul to an angel for this staff. Would you, if you sold your soul to an angel, would you go to heaven?
I thought this too. I don't know. But is that a bad thing to do?
Yeah, and the thing is, like, so I'm going to jump ahead a little bit because Balthazar gives his soul back. If you haven't watched the episode, whatever. Balthazar gives his soul back. He's technically, like, Aaron has technically killed 3 people. So, if you're going by biblical rules, he did it, like, you're not supposed to kill anybody. Like, this is the thing, you just don't kill. It's one of the commandments. So, like, has his soul now been tainted?
Yeah.
And was it actually safer with Balthazar? I mean, obviously we don't know what Balthazar's motives are with the souls yet, so probably not. But
here's my take on it. I think anything the kid did while the soul was in Balthazar's possession, free pass. He was soulless, right? I feel like your soul has to inhabit your body in Supernatural for it to get tainted.
But he has a marker. He doesn't have his soul is still in his body.
Oh yeah, you're right. Oh, that's
true. Just a marker.
I don't know. Maybe it's like, maybe go to like juvie hell. If anything he did. Sorry, no. It's fun.
And obviously the whole getting into heaven and hell is not very clearly explained in the show. So like it really could mean nothing. Like he could be absolutely fine that like he killed these 3 people. Because he goes on to live like a good life, whatever.
And they were bad dudes, so I feel like it's
yeah.
I feel like the putting, like, not taking his soul though. There's a thought in my head. I don't think it ever gets fully explained. I think you're right that because they're using souls as like power, they're in some way like consumed. So if you don't like, if you're then using up those souls, they don't go to heaven or hell. They would end up like in oblivion.
purgatory, maybe?
More the empty, I guess. I know it doesn't exist as a concept here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's where things go that don't have souls, like demons and angels. Mm-hmm. So I would guess the empty, which...
Yeah.
Is that worse than how a lot of people think so in the supernatural fandom, I think, is often referred to as super hell / the empty, you know, as a joke mostly, but like, yeah. I don't know. I think that would be the case.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, if you die without a soul, like that's surely where you would end up. Yeah. But yeah, I feel like this kid got a jail-free card from this because his soul was touched by an angel while he committed some murder. So, therefore, you know, he's got heaven on his side.
Well, I guess it depends on who wins the war in heaven, though, right? Because if it's
that's true.
Not Balthazar's side, maybe not. They end up taking Aaron back to their hotel room to find out who gave him the mark after selling the soul. So Cass can read the mark and find the name of the angel who bought the soul, and he tells them that it's going to be extremely painful. Reading is excruciating, and Cass has no compassion for this child. Sam says the only thing he asks is like any permanent damage, and the look that Dean gives him is like, what did you just say?
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean, what any permanent damage?
Because Dean is a dad, right? I know Dean was a dad before, but like Dean is a dad now, and he's like, this is a kid.
He's been a dad for a year.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. He's the only one like outright like what? Because I mean, Cass is an angel. Like, at this point, he still doesn't really have any compassion for humans, particularly apart from
you're right,
Dean. I mean, we see he doesn't care about Sam.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's kind of expected, but yeah. This was a really telling scene. I mean, it comes back up again as well, like I said, but yeah.
Yeah. No, this was. I mean, you're right. These are two soulless beings against one soul.
Yeah.
Was someone with a soul. So it's just like, yeah, you can kind of see how they act very similar of like the disinterestedness of like human suffering.
Well, like Cass essentially, like in the end, like learns his morality from them, right? Like all the way through the show, like you kind of see that happen. I mean, this season actually is a big like linchpin for that, like what happens at the end of this.
I mean, and that's also why he's lying, though, isn't it? It's just like save their feelings,
which is, and like also to protect them, which is what they do to each other. Like he learned that from them. I don't feel like they have the right to be mad at him when they eventually do find out. But yeah, it made me think as well. Like as this whole scene played out. Like I said previously, I think in the last episode, that this season is about loyalty, and I really felt it in this scene of like, what do you do for loyalty? Like Cass's loyalty to heaven. Yeah, sure, he's going to torture a kid, right? Even though he's an angel.
Yeah.
Dean's loyalty to family. Again, he's like protesting against this. And in the moment for Sam's only loyalty is to himself. So, yeah, he doesn't really care either way. He's like true neutral. Like D&D alignments. I would say he's maybe going on like, what is it? Can you be neutral evil? Is that a thing you can be? But I feel like he's going that direction. What is it called? Like chaotic, lawful, and then it's neutral. You can be like neutral, right? He's going
I believe
neutral evil. Someone's gonna correct me on that. I think it doesn't sound right in my ear, so I feel like it's wrong.
So yeah, they're gonna torture this kid to get the mark so that Cass can do a spell to track down the angel that did this. And the interesting line here is that like,
I can't care about that, Dean.
So like he does have somewhat of a conscience, but like he's purposely consciously, if you would, turning it off.
And that's what I was saying about loyalty. Like, loyalty trumps his own morality at this point.
Yeah, exactly. So he finds the name. The kid is like screaming out in pain. Surprised there's like nobody that comes knocking on the door to find out why there's all these screams, but this is what it is. And once he gets the name, Cass starts to like gather materials to cast a spell.
I thought he died in the war.
What, he was a friend or something?
So is this the war that's happening in heaven right now, or a different war?
He means the war when Lucifer fell, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think that's the one. I think that's the one he means.
Well, no, because No, I think it's the one that's going on right now. Or like, when Lucifer came back and like, maybe in the like past year, because how else would Balthazar get the weapons? Because they only just went missing. I feel the vibe I got was that because when he talks about Balthazar, he talks about him being like a righteous soldier or whatever. I feel like that's like way in the past. So I feel like they fought together during the fall and then kind of haven't spoken since. So to see him like pop up to like steal a bunch of weapons is a surprise. Yeah.
But I could be wrong. Like that was just the idea that I got from the dialogue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. And the reason why Raphael is looking for... Sorry, I'm again jumping ahead, but the reason why Raphael is looking for him is to just get the weapons back. They don't care that it's Balthazar. It's just that he has the weapons, and that's why. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Because for a minute I was conflating Raphael going after Balthazar for his part in the war.
Oh, yeah.
That would have just happened.
I'm not sure. I just got the idea that Balthazar's been like kind of watching Cass from a distance kind of thing. Mm-hmm. You know, since they have been friends.
Yeah. And also like, because he talks about freedom and like he can be free now because heaven is in such disarray that he can just like do whatever he wants. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, actually, right now it's revealed that it's Balthazar. Yeah. So there you go. I didn't go that too far ahead. And once Cass reveals that it's Balthazar, another angel appears, and they start to fight. And because, by the way, Raphael says hello. They start fighting. It's quite a good fight actually. I quite enjoyed it. Like
you could actually
all the angel blade like clashing and all that. And then we get the fall out of the window, which we've already talked about, and them falling on top of Sam's car, and Sam's like,
"My car."
Okay, silver lining.
The funny thing is, so obviously it's stunt actors who do the fall and everything like that. So, but when they come back from the ad break, which is you'll take over from that, but like the CGI on the car is really bad. Yeah. It's really bad.
It's really bad.
Like, could they not find like so Sam's car is black, right? It's black.
Yeah, no, I had the exact same thought as this. Yes, I know where you're going. Sorry.
Like, this car is grey.
It looks like sky blue to me from that weird CGI. It was not good.
Yeah. No, I was just like, so I didn't. When they fell onto the car, I was like, oh, that kind of sucks that they fell onto a car. And then when Sam says my car, I was like, what? No, but it's like
it's jet black though. That's not your car. Yeah, no, exact same thought. The CGI is awful in that.
Yeah.
And again, as you were saying, would it maybe in not ways have even been cheaper to just get an old car roof and like bang some dents into it so they fall into it? I feel like that would have been cheaper than this truly terrible CGI. Yeah. That's one thing.
Maybe they ran out of time.
Yeah, that's one thing that like I do regret about like older seasons of Supernatural, because I guess unfortunately I think visual effects are cheaper than practical effects because they just pay visual effects people worse.
Yeah. And there's also the you only really have one time to do certain routines as well.
Exactly. And I Supernatural obviously did move away from using practical effects to CGI like more and more and more. And I think that's part of the reason why you kind of lose a bit of that magic for the first 5 seasons. Because practical effects just hold up so well. Like if you watch Jurassic Park, still looks great. You know, Star Wars still looks pretty good as well. There are some dodgy moments where they have replaced practical effects with CGI now. That actually dates it more than the original films where it was just practical effects. But like, I could go off on that for a bit. The stupid little alien in the cabana. I hate that stupid little CGI alien. Yeah.
Tell me how you read it.
Yeah. No, I agree. I clocked the exact same thing. The color of that car changes, and because I feel like it would have been too hard to do visual effects on a black car. I think that's why, like, to show the dents.
Yeah, I think so too. The only redeeming factor of that whole bit was that I did enjoy the way that you see Cass getting off the top of the car and the camera like pulls back and then goes back into the room.
That was very cool.
And it's like Sam and Dean.
Yeah.
That I'll give it a pass because that's a really cool shot and I really enjoyed that. But you gotta work on this.
Also, to be fair to them, the visual effects do get better, like clearly as they perfected what they were doing.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure I heard an interview once that said like they became like the leading people in like beheading people by visual effects because they did it so much. Yeah. So like people were like, you want to behead someone in your film? Go talk to the like Supernatural visual effects guys.
Their VFX guys are top notch with the beheadings.
So Cass is all back up in the room saying that the other angel has gone. And when Sam asked who he was, he's like, well, he's a soldier of Raphael. He must have followed me here when I answered you. And they're like, backtrack, Raphael. Again, Cass hasn't explained.
Of course, because...
Yeah, sorry, go on.
Like, Sam hasn't met Raphael. Yeah. Never met him.
But, like, Sam did know about the whole, like, summoning Raphael thing, right? Did he know about that? Because it's acting like he never heard about them doing that. It was just a little boys' trip for Dean and Cass they never told Sam about.
What was Sam doing at that point?
I'm trying to remember. Drinking demon blood somewhere? No.
Yeah.
I don't know. But he acts like he's never heard of, like, them meeting him before. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, this was just a boys' trip for Dean and Cass where they summoned an archangel and went to a brothel. Like, it was a stag night out, you know?
I mean, it deepened their bond, right?
Yeah. So, yeah, Cass is gonna summon Balthazar or find out where he is. He's doing some kind of ritual thing that he's not explaining to anyone and flitting about, like, yeah. He's really... The relationship between the three of them has changed. I mean, obviously, Sam has no soul now, and, like, I think I remember that Cass knows that, so he's a bit, like, cagey around him, even more so than when he was, like, Demon Blood Boy. And like Dean has no idea what's going on, so it's like it's quite tense.
So the way now that you said that, it's like Cass is acting like he wants to get out of there as fast as he can.
Yes, you're right. I mean, there's a reason why he hasn't been about. Yeah. Yeah. He's just worried that the longer he stays with them, the truth might come out of what he did. How badly he screwed this one.
Yeah.
So he's saying, like, we have to find Balthazar now before Raphael does, because whoever has the weapons wins the war. So if he has them, like, we need them. He kind of explains as well the premise about the civil war that's going on. So, like... Because Dean says...
I can explain later, right now.
No, not later, now. Stop, all right? There's too many angels. Cass, I don't know who's on first, what's on second.
And Cass, like, does his what's on second thing. And Dean calls him out. It's like, don't even start with that. Like, I know you understand what I'm saying. You're going to explain to me what it is. So, yeah, Raphael and his followers want to rule in heaven because there's a power vacuum, right? Because Michael's gone.
Right.
So Raphael's trying to take charge, which I guess he must feel like the natural successor, and a lot of angels feel like that too.
Because Gabriel's missing.
Yeah, Gabriel's gone. He's the last archangel, effectively. And Cassia's like, well, we don't want that because Raphael wants to restart the apocalypse. The way he says it, he says Raphael wants to put it back on the rails. There's a lot of like flitting about in this, but as the conversation continues, he says, I'm trying to like grab the thing. He says, yeah, he's a traditionalist. At one point in this as well, he grabs Dean's hand and just like cuts it open to like borrow some blood as well, which is just a bit too intimate. Why does he choose Dean?
What happens if Raphael wins? I mean, what does he want?
Well, he's always wanted to end the story the way it was written.
Just the way that's worded with like, he wants to end the story the way it was written. Like, was Ben Edlund clued in with the whole like, God is an author kind of thing? There's a few little, the way things are worded in this is not the only one. There's another one later on that I'm going to point out as well. And if I don't, I'll come back to it because I have to find it. I think that's something Balthasar says.
You know, that's kind of interesting. Like, so this kind of leads into, or can support the fact that Chuck was God the entire time, and that Cass recognized him as God, or was clued into him being God when like he disappeared at the end of season 5.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? Right. I think Ben Edlund is feeding us some crumbs, and I might be reading too much into it, but like they did do that whole like Chuck disappearing thingy at the end of season 5, and I always forget they did that because it feels like something that didn't happen, right? Yeah, but that stood out to me. I was like, ooh, hints. I don't know. It sometimes makes you feel like they do things on purpose.
But I mean, also like there is the whole backstory of like, I know, well, yeah, okay, actually because that comes later, it makes sense that they could refer to this, but like, I do feel like in Supernatural, they have, do you think it was written? Like, okay, maybe this confirms that it was written, but before it was like, sort of spoken legacy. Or like, it's just sort of, the angels just know that at some point, these two people will be possessed by Lucifer and Michael. Like, that is just the way it's going to be.
It's the whole, like, Good Omens, like, ineffable plan, right? Everyone kind of has a vague notion of it. Like, you know that it's going to go down. Yeah, you're like, right, they know it's going to go down and this is how it's going to go down. Like, the angels and the demons kind of know this, but it's been a long time since God said it, so, like, maybe it's got a bit lost in translation through the years.
Yeah. And we haven't been introduced to Metatron yet, which is like, I can imagine that he is like locked in his little library, like trying to avoid the Civil War, like at the moment, not picking a side. So
I agree with you. Yeah, I just thought it was interesting. This could also, while I was saying like Ben Edlund's giving us clues, I was like, maybe this is almost like an in-joke as like Eric Kripke being God and the author, because obviously the way he intended Supernatural to end, and now it's continued. So maybe it's just like a little joke, like, ha ha ha. I don't know. It's a clever line, and it just stuck out to me. I enjoyed it. So, yeah. He cuts Dean's hand, gets the blood, adds some myrrh and holy water, does some stuff in Enochian, and Sam's like, how long does this take? And he just goes, got him, which apparently is Cass's catchphrase now, because that whole, got him. And Dean, before they teleport out, is like, whoa, what about the kid, you know? And he just says, don't you think the police will take him home? And they leave. Oof, it's cold.
It is very cold, and I was just like, again, he's not reading the room. Like, Cass is not reading the room. Like, the police killed this boy's brother.
And like,
do you think he's just gonna...
And as far as that kid knows, like, some FBI agents just kidnapped him. It's not... Yeah, like, how...
In my head, Cass took him home, like, blipped him over real quick, and then they did this. That's
just got to fix it. Yeah, that's fine. You can fix it in your own mind. I feel that's fine.
Because I feel like Dean would insist that, which kind of annoys me because at the end of this episode they have the soon. I'm like, just give us that little bit that you know that you care about this poor black boy.
Yeah, because this doesn't get resolved. That's it. That's the end of that story. Like, that's gone.
Yeah.
Again, I think all this is showing that like something's not right. Like Sam's not acting like Sam, and I would say also that Cass isn't really acting like Cass. There's an urgency to him that we kind of did see in the Apocalypse, but he was very much more like devil may care. You know, the whole ass butt thing. Like, he clearly didn't like. He was more like, let's just try and win this in the best way we can. Whereas here he's like really focused.
He is, but also, if you think back to when he came back from being exploded.
Oh yeah, he was so serene.
Yeah, and like the way that he kind of just like pieced out in the middle of the conversation with Dean kind of also leads to like this same kind of attitude where it's just like there's always been that kind of like, obviously like he's said that his people skills are rusty, but I don't know, maybe I don't know.
It's a weird one for me.
It's just it's
hard to like marry this cast to like later seasons cast. I think that's why we're finding a disconnect. I think that's it. Like, we know Sam has changed, but because this season has to progress for us to understand why Cass is the way it is, it's hard to kind of pin down at this point.
Yeah, definitely.
So they're all outside. They get teleported by Cass. It's nighttime. They're outside a mansion, like a huge house. Dean said, I was expecting more Dr. No, less Liberace. Which is one way to just...
when you meet
Balthazar. It's just one way to describe. There's even like a piano in one of the scenes as well, and you're like, oh, he wasn't wrong.
Yeah.
So they move about, like, Cass does the teleporting thing that I mentioned before from, I think it's All Hell Breaks Loose. I'm sticking to that, where he looks up and then he's there.
No, Abandon All
Hope. Yes, you're right. It is Abandon All Hope. Yes, thank you.
All Hell Breaks Loose is at the end of season 2.
That is correct. I
actually know that from once.
I know. I'm impressed too. Like, I remember episode names. And so he walks through into a room with he sees a frog, and then he walks into a room with a piano. It's like a large ballroom. And it's got like disco music, like I think that Balthazar heard Dean say Liberace and was like, yeah, I'll go with it. Like, Balthazar greets him like, I'm here. Sebastian Roche. I'm probably saying his name wrong.
Yeah, it's close enough.
I always think of like, I bet he'd hate this. I always think of Ferrero Rocher when I think of his name. Great convention guest. Like, he doesn't come to enough conventions anymore. I feel like he's probably too busy because he's also one of those actors like Mark Sheppard who is just in everything. I like watch something and I'm like, Balthazar.
And the funny thing is that he is Balthazar in everything. So like, his character is never any different from like this.
I did watch one and I can't remember, he's like, I think he's quite serious in it, but I was like constantly expecting him to like quip at somebody and he like never did, you know? It's just, so he Balthazar says,
it's so good to see you. Like, he told me you were floating around.
He?
I believe you two have flown together.
The angel that Cass was fighting is like dead on the floor, and a frog jumps out of his mouth. The other plague, you know.
You know, it just clicked that he says you guys have flown together because they've out the window.
It's so stupid.
He said Balthazar's such a dad joke person.
He even says when the frog is like, oh, you know, the old frog in the throat. Like, he thinks he's so clever.
He does.
Cass to say,
even I know that's a bad joke. I grieved your death.
That's very Vulcan. Because when, like, in Vulcan they say, like, oh, I grieve with thee. I just felt that. I'm always conflating Cass to Spock. They are the same character, sort of. And Balthazar's like, yeah, well, sorry about that, you know, like, I wanted them to think, like, so they wouldn't come looking for me. And Cass is trying to get out of him, like, what he's doing. And he just says, whatever I want. You know, this morning I had a menage. What's French for 12? So yeah, he stole a lot of things. And like I said before, Cass says, you were a great and honourable soldier. We fought together. I guess that's why I think it was the previous war with Lucifer, because Cass did a bit of fighting during the apocalypse, but mostly he was just following Sam and Dean around.
True. Yeah, true.
So he's like, well, you know, I know you, but you're not some common thief. And Balthazar says, well, common, no, thief. He says, you know, I've been hearing all about you. As far as I'm concerned, you and me, Cass, nothing's changed. We're brothers. Of course I want to help you. So like he said, he'd been seeing him about rebelling from heaven and all of that, and thought, yeah, I'll get a slice of that action.
Because I'm sure his angel radio still works, so he's probably tuned in to like, oh, there's absolute chaos going on. This is my chance. And
this happens as well, like throughout the season. Like Cass, you know, he gained free will, something that no other angel has or thinks they have. But he made his own choices during the apocalypse, and a lot of angels are like, we can do that. Which is partly some of the reason for the Civil War, right? Is them thinking, we are out from under God's thumb, you know. So Cass asks for the weapons. Balthazar's like, no, I won't give them to you. And Cass asks again, like, why take them? Why run away? And he says, because I could.
The footsteps I'm following, they're yours. What you did, stopping the big plan, the prize fight.
You did more than rebel. You tore up the whole... This was the other line. You tore up the whole script and burned the pages for all of us. And that really... It mirrors what Chuck says to Cass, like, way in the future. Where he's like, you were the one who didn't do what I told you to do. And this is the reason why we are here, and I'm ending everything. Yeah.
Yeah, way into the future.
Way in the future. We're talking like decade.
Where the analogy turns from books to TV. But yes.
Exactly. So it says like, it's a new era, no rules, no destiny, just utter and complete freedom. So yeah, free will. Cass invented free will. That's what he did. Thank you, Cass, for our free will. And Cass is like, this is what you do with it. I mean, I don't feel like he can judge what other angels do with their newfound free will, you know?
No, I mean, well, I was going to say they don't judge humans, but they absolutely do, so never mind. So, I mean, I do find it funny that what Balthazar says to Dean in this, because, like, Balthazar's acting just as human as any other person.
Yes, I agree with you.
So, yeah.
And I think that's the hard thing for angels to come to terms with as well, is like, they aren't so different from humans in their, like, what they want, especially when they realize they can kind of do what they want. They sort of just act like humans, you know? So Balthazar's like, well, you know, screw it. Dad's not coming back.
You might as well blow coke and jump on the bed. You proved to me we could do anything, so I'm trying everything.
I guess as well, with angels having no final plan and no destiny, like, there's no meaning to their life anymore. So he is just like a bit of a nihilist. He's like, well, fine, just nothing matters, so might as well just be happy, do what I want kind of thing. I feel like, doesn't Amara go through like a similar thing as well, where she's like, yeah, I just do what I want now. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Cass explains there's a civil war, so like Balthazar should care, and he's like, well, you know, I do know that there is, but like I kind of don't care. And Cass says, with the weapons I can stop the war, and Balthazar kind of laughs at him and says, you actually believe you can stop the fighting? Like, it will never stop. Like, if you win this war, there'll be another one, another one, another one, another one. Endless cycle. And he's like, my advice, grab something valuable and fake your own death. Good advice for all of us, Balthazar, thank you.
Exactly.
Cass calls him insane, and he says, but your holiday's over because Raphael knows where you are. And Balthazar's like, well, I don't care, I've got all the weapons.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it is funny that Balthazar calls Cass Cass. Like, all the angels picked up on Dean's nickname for Castiel over the angels. We've talked about it before. They all start calling him Cass, which I know they didn't before. Like,
no,
not possible.
Yeah.
And he does say, like, oh, I'm sorry, Cass. Like, aside everything else, like, I'm really happy to see you, even though you still have a stick up your ass. That's the sound of thunder outside, and Balthazar's like, was that you? Which I thought was really good. And then says, oh, that's my cue then. Tell Raphael to bite me, and leaves. I love Balthazar. I think it's because it's one of the first angels. I don't know, Zachariah kind of had a sense of twisted humor, but like Balthazar is the closest to like, no, Gabriel as well. I'm going to take it back. I was like, he's the most fun, but no, Gabriel's pretty fun as well.
He is pretty fun.
Like, I feel like Balthazar and Gabriel are like peas in a pod.
They are, definitely. It's just, I feel like, I was gonna say that Balthazar is more selfish.
Yeah.
But really, Balthazar is following Gabriel's footsteps. Faking your death, having all of the naughty fun times.
Here's a question. Do you think Balthazar's character was supposed to be Gabriel and like Richard Spite was busy doing something? Because word for word, Gabriel could say all of that and it would make sense. Like faking your own death, stealing all the weapons, saying it's just gonna we're just gonna keep fighting, do what you want. Just a thought.
I would say yes, but his attitude change in that episode, which I can't remember, the one with all the gods.
Yeah.
Where he does face up to Lucifer. I think had it been before that episode, yes. But after that episode, no.
I don't know though. I feel like it could be because like it could be like, well, prize fight didn't happen. Both my brothers are in the cage. Like, who do I care anymore? I don't know. No. I'm changing my mind as I'm saying it. Okay, fine. I agree with you.
But yeah, I do agree.
Right.
But yeah, I agree with your initial point too. That it really could be Gabriel.
Let's agree to agree.
Yes, that sounds perfectly fine. I feel like that's our entire podcast, to be honest. We just agree with each other. I'm gonna guess actually that, so not even guess, it's quite obvious with what you've just said that, like, you know, Gabriel's character was fun and like having him in the story was, you know, a benefit to the supernatural universe. So they brought in someone who was basically Gabriel.
But we
know
they killed off Gabriel, so they couldn't bring him back. Yeah.
Not yet, anyway.
Because also Balthazar is the catalyst for an episode that Gabriel would have been the catalyst for, right? A French mistake. Yeah.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
They do need this kind of, I don't even know what you call him.
I was going to say trickster, but I mean, because even the bad joke with the frog,
It's so Gabriel, right?
Yeah.
Like, they are the twinsies.
They are twinsies. It makes me think if in my mind, there are like, you have the Lucifer like squadron, you have the Michael squadron, you have the Raphael, and then you have the Gabriel. And like and Balthazar was in the Gabriel squadron, and like they all act this way.
He got sorted.
Like they take on
into that house.
Yeah. I mean, that's not true, but like, because I don't know where I guess, well, you know, Cass could be in the Michael one. He's pretty ruthless. He's pretty.
That's the whole point. Like Cass did get sorted into like one of those houses, like the Sirius house. But now he's broken free of the, you know, public school system.
So we're back outside of the mansion because we've just seen the three angels show up where Sam and Dean were. Just to round off what your last bit. Raphael says, watch them, they're all snakes. I don't know who he's referring to. I guess humans are all snakes?
I guess just everybody. Just watch everybody, except for me. They're all snakes.
Yeah. And then we see one of the angels like walking around with his angel blade, and Sam's like, hey there, I have one of those too, because he has an angel blade in his hand. And then another one appears behind Sam, and he's like, you think you can knife fight an angel? And Dean's like, who's fighting? Peace out, douchewad. And like has the sigil, and they are banished. Inside the mansion, I guess there's more, because we only see 3, but there's more angels that show up. And Cass says, you know, I don't want to fight you. Just stop. Like, we don't have to do this. There's another way. And I love this move from Cass where he like turns the blade around and just like launches it at his chest.
It's good, but I laughed out loud when I watched it because he's like, I don't want to hurt you. Hurls a blade at his chest.
Well, yeah, exactly. I thought the same thing. I was like, I mean, he was advancing. What can you do? Like, he calculated the distance and all that kind of stuff. And then he's like,
why won't any of you listen?
And again, I feel like knowing later what Cass has done in this season, I don't know if you remember, so maybe I'll leave it ambiguous. He's had this conversation hundreds of times. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I know what you're talking about, but yes. Yeah. And then Raphael appears and says, they don't listen, Castiel, because their hearts are mine. Huh. Naomi is in Raphael's faction.
Obviously, yeah.
Squadron.
Yeah. I always forget she exists during this whole bit. Like, yeah.
Because the way he says their hearts are mine, well, they've been brainwashed over and over and over again to obey Raphael.
Yeah. When did Naomi start brainwashing Cass? Like, I need to go back and I need to watch the episode when he finds out about that. Like, that, I feel like that is important to this. I'm going to look it up after this episode so I can watch the rest of season 6 with a different lens.
No, don't do that. Go on the journey of discovery.
Oh, it's so hard. What do I do? Okay, all right. I'll go on the journey of discovery.
Of rediscovery, I guess. So they start to fight, and Raphael is just way more powerful than Cass. Like, he's getting tossed around like he's a bag of potatoes. Like, thrown down the stairs, punched in the face, all this kind of stuff. And like, Raphael is completely unfazed by it all. He's now doing the like hopping around thing. And then he finally like grabs Cass and like raises his angel blade and is about to stab him and says like, somehow I don't think God will be bringing you back this time. And then Balthazar shows up and says, hey, look at my junk. And then like this glowing crystal shows up.
Love that so much.
Oh, he's got a glowing crystal. And Raphael goes, no. And he gets turned into salt. Balthazar explains what he just did by saying this happened to Lot's wife. ionize the poor sucker and your kitchen stocked for life, which from a practical standpoint, I mean, why wouldn't you just gather the salt and have it?
But for like supernatural lore reasons, like I hope they did go back for that salt, because like surely Angel Vessel's salt is like somehow used for something, right? Like, you know.
I mean, that would be kind of cool.
You know, sprinkle it on your chips.
No. Gross. I said enough with the body horror.
Maybe it's something like, you don't know, it might have like anti-demon possession properties. You don't know, it might be real good stuff.
That's true. That's very true.
You came back.
Well, now Raphael will have to go shopping for a new vessel. Should give me a nice long head start on him.
Dean just appears and says, "No like time like the present," and like conveniently there's a circle of holy water right where. Anyway, okay. Fine. Balthazar is like, "Holy fire, you hairless ape, release me." I love it because it's like Sebastian Roche has such an RP accent, and it's just like that hairless ape line feels so much more demeaning than when Uriel said it.
Yeah, it does. I love the I love the whole British accent thing. They should just made all the angels British. I want to see Misha do a British accent.
Oh my God. Well, no, he's not bad at it. He's not awful. But yeah. So Dean demands that he remove the marker from Aaron's soul. Sam comes out and says, "Unless you want your wings extra crispy," and he like uncorks a bottle of holy oil. This is when Balthazar turns to Cass and says, "Castiel, like I stood for you in heaven, and you're gonna let me." And he just says, "I believe the hairless ape has the floor."
I feel like this is like Cass's kind of payment for the fact that he tortured that kid against Dean's will. He's like, "Oh, all right, fine, well, you get this." And also, like, Balthazar's not agreeing to help me, so shrug.
So Balthazar removes the debt, and his soul is his own. And then Dean asks about why he's even buying up human souls anyway. And Balthazar says, "In this economy, it's probably the only thing worth buying."
Do you have any idea what souls are worth? What power they hold?
So yeah, this again is a super, super important plot point to this season. I just don't remember why, and like I feel like this is never looked at again.
Because the souls, they're gonna shove them in Cass.
Yeah, I'm kind of sad that this idea of like souls as currency kind of goes away. And like, you know, we've had 5 well, not really 5 seasons, more like 5 seasons of, you know, demons making deals for souls, and they didn't ever think to use it in the way that they're going to use it in this season. It's just like,
yeah, you're right. But I guess the point was that like before the apocalypse didn't happen, there was almost like a balance. So for the amount of souls that hell were making deals with, you know, there were still souls going to heaven, so it balanced out power, like in power. Whereas now, because there is this power vacuum, Lucifer and Michael have gone, there's suddenly like an arms race essentially to and
that's true.
Before there were rules, and now there are no rules.
Yeah, you're right. You're very right. So Dean is not going to let him go, but Cass like just lowers the flames and extinguishes the flames, and he says, "My debt to you is cleared." And then Balthazar disappears. Dean then says, "Cass, are you out of your mind?" And then Cass disappears. So really it is like he wanted to get in and get out as fast as he could.
You're so right with that. Yeah.
And Dean's like, "Cass, oh freaking angels, come on."
He's so mad the whole time, like about this whole situation.
Do you know what I find really funny about this episode? I don't feel like Sam and Dean are in it.
Yeah, they're just side characters in this, like the Cash show.
like the beginning of this episode is a vehicle to get Cass on screen, and that is it.
Yeah, Ben Edlund was like, look, I've had enough of the Angel not being on screen. Like, he's getting full airtime.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah, I love it. So yeah, final scene. They finished the case, ? And they're trying to fit all of Sam's stuff in Dean's trunk because, you know, his car got destroyed. And Dean's like, I didn't realise I had this much stuff back here. And Sam's like, well, I need some space. He's like, kind of picks up some stuff along the way. And Dean closes like half the trunk at the false bottom, and then like Sam puts his duffel bag on the top as well. Like, it's still going. Sam notices a mask hidden there, and he's like, what is this? And Dean says, oh, it's Ben's Halloween costume. And Sam's like, oh, Wendigo? And he's like, yeah. Sam says, oh, that's accurate. Like, I love that little exchange between them.
So I don't know if you remember in the first episode, we were at season 6, episode 1. I had said that there were the masked vampires in this season.
Yeah.
Because I'd actually seen this scene, but I was at the gym and I didn't have like the sound on, like, so I didn't hear what was being said.
Yeah.
And I was like, because this is at the end of the episode, and like there's the like suit, like what's coming up in the season. So I was distracted doing whatever I was doing because I didn't want to watch because I thought it was the season 15 episode 20. So I was like, I don't want to watch this. So I like looked away. Yeah. And then I looked back and it's like Lisa yelling at Dean, and I was like, oh yeah. So I'm retracting my statement that the masked vampires are in this episode.
I was
in this
so
season.
confused about what you were talking about. I was like, no, right?
Yeah,
it's fine.
So it was an error on my part. I will retract that. I'm going to keep it in the episode because I've already edited the episode. I don't want to go in and change it. I'll just look like a fool. And
this is a retraction. No, it's fine. I mean, also, it's the gym's fault for playing Supernatural on their screens at the gym.
Yeah.
I blame them.
I mean, it's because they have the channel that puts on like 2 episodes in the morning. Like it goes Charmed, Supernatural, and then something else.
Wild to me that exists. Also love Charmed. Haven't watched that in years.
I know.
Also a show that Misha was in.
True.
So yeah, they finish up what they're doing, and now they're going to have a conversation. They're at the waterfront, I think. So, of course, they're going to have a conversation.
Oh, yeah. The only thing missing is beer.
Yeah. Why is there no beer? Where's the cooler? Where's the cooler of emotion? I'm going to start calling it that.
Well, it's because Sam doesn't have any, so why would he?
He can't open the cooler of emotion and drink the beer of soul. I don't know. I'm
inner peace. Yeah.
The analogy got away from me. So Dean's like, you okay? And Sam's like, yeah, I'm all right. You know? And Dean's like, basically saying, there's something not right with you. He's like, you know, where were you when Cass was giving holy taser treatment to that kid? You know? And Sam's like, well, I was there. And he's like, really, were you? Because I felt like I was the only one who was like, this is not okay.
Right. I mean, I was with you, but I don't know. We needed the intel.
Yeah, I know, but we tortured that kid to get it.
So I don't think it's registering with Sam how big a deal that is. Because obviously when it's already been brought up earlier in the season, also in episode 1, the last episode, sorry, that Dean was a torturer in hell. Like, he doesn't want people to be tortured. Like, he did it, he doesn't want it anymore. And, like, the fact that Sam let it happen, knowing that how much of a trigger it is for Dean, is a big red flag.
And Dean is having to spell it out to him like he's like a toddler who has to explain the difference between right and wrong. Like, no, you can't push people in the playground because it makes them sad. It didn't matter that you wanted their candy.
Yeah,
exactly. So I was like, oh yeah, you're right. You know, like, has to be retaught this kind of stuff. And Dean says, I get the feeling that you didn't care. And Sam refutes it, but like, his face isn't doing Sam things, right?
Yeah.
And Dean's like, look, I'm trying to figure this out because like something's different with you. Like, you know that. Like he said, like, you know that. Like you realised it. And Sam's like, yeah, I do know something's different.
I've been hunting nonstop for the past year. Kind of out in the wild, you know? So yeah, I suppose I'm a little rough around the edges.
And Dean doesn't buy it. He's like, I get it. But I don't think that's a whole story. You went to hell, Sam. And believe me, I know what it does to a guy. And Sam just goes, no, to you. And he's like, you know what it does to you? It tortured you, you know? I think it still does. But I'm okay.
Smack him upside the head, Dean.
Yeah.
Nobody talks to you like that.
It's the implication, I guess. I don't think Sam means it, because again, no morality, but it's the implication that he's just stronger than Dean, so he's coping with it better. I think that's the problem with this.
Yeah.
I think that's how Dean takes it too, because his face does a whole complex thing.
Oh, he even says it too.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it does. That's the Jackal's face acting for you. He said it before he said it.
So you're saying, what, that you're stronger than me?
No. Just saying we're different.
Do you know what's really funny though? Dean is stronger than Sam because when Sam gets his soul back, he literally goes to an asylum.
I'm on Sam's side on this though, because he went to like worse hell than Dean and for longer.
Yeah, okay, fair.
But like, I also agree with you. Like, Sam doesn't know how the mind is broken. He doesn't comprehend yet. And then that's it. That's the end of the conversation. Sam's just like, yeah, that's the end of that, and gets in the car.
Well, I mean, he does say like, you know, no, I'm just saying we're different. Like he tries to soften it a little bit. Like, yeah, he's like, yeah, I do think I'm stronger than you. The thing is, Sam has already admitted that he thinks that he is stronger than Dean at the end of season 4.
Yeah,
because they have that whole fight about it.
Even before he was soulless, yeah, he was kind of thinking this. Because, and he does think it, there's the implication that Sam thinks hell broke Dean. And it did.
Yes.
Right? But you don't say it.
Nope.
And also, like, Dean's picked up the pieces, like, as best as he can. And, like, it is, like, a bit of a, like, it must be messing with Dean to see Sam, I guess. But then he knows something's up. So to Dean, it looks like Sam's just pretending to be okay. Because he's not okay.
Yeah.
He's not acting like Sam. And Dean saw it from the first moment they, like, met back up again.
Yeah.
Like, he was pleased to see him, but you could tell from their whole interaction, he's like, he has changed. Like, immediately
Definitely.
he knew.
Yeah.
Yeah. He even thinks... Sorry, go on.
Because Sam has never really manipulated Dean in any real way.
No.
Like he is now. Like he's never really guilt-tripped him. He's always been a bit more direct and like open to talking about what's happening in his life and like what he wants. Whereas this version of his communication is just like, you know, like saying that Dean bailed. Well, he didn't bail. Like he spoke with Lisa that he's gonna go hunting and come back when he can. Like, that's not bailing. That's like making a plan and being like, I'm gonna work for like 6 months. I'll be back. Peace.
Yeah.
Well, not peace, but like see you later kind of thing.
He is just very much more direct. It's like, he has like, I think I'm just going to call it that. He has toddler morality. I think that's what the soulless thing does too. I'm not saying toddlers are soulless.
Some would disagree.
But like I'm saying, it's like, that's the kind of thing that he's at, is like, he just says things.
Yeah.
And everything has to be his kind of way, and like, it's very selfish. And I think that's what not having a soul does to you. Because we're trying to pin it down, weren't we? Like, what does it actually mean? And I think we're getting closer to it.
I mean, that that kind of lines up with my theory of being a psychopath, because toddlers are.
Toddlers are psychopaths. I think children don't learn empathy until they're like way older, right? That, you know, other people exist and they have emotions that they can affect. Like it's yeah. So Sam's in that, like, he's a 3-year-old here.
Dean's probably like, damn it, I've already gone through this already.
Yeah, exactly. And 3-year-olds are mean. They're mean. They'll just say stuff to you like, you have a funny face.
Yeah.
Your glasses are weird. And you're like, I can't tell if a child.
I can't even do anything about it.
I know, right? You're just here like breaking me down, man. Yeah. Yeah, so Dean gets in the car, they drive off, nothing more is said until next episode, I presume. So it's gonna keep coming up.
I don't know, we'll find out.
Yeah.
So actually at the end of this episode there is like a teaser for the rest of the season. So I thought it would be in the transcript, so I didn't really make too many notes, but so I just remember there being like a Twilight reference, because he's like, these aren't vampires.
Yeah, I know the name of the episode. It's Live Free or Twi Hard.
Yeah. Exactly. And then there's an argument between him and Lisa, and he sort of breaks down in that one a little bit. That he also confronts. He gets cursed. Sorry, Dean gets cursed with. I feel bad about saying what's coming up, but it's literally in the episode, so whatever. But he gets cursed by people telling him the truth, so he kind of gets some truth from some of the people around him, like Bobby and Sam, and then it sort of ends with kind of echoing the end of this conversation of like, you have my back, right, Sam? And Sam's like, yeah, I have your back. And he's like shaking his head no.
It's a weird teaser to have. Like, I just wanted to see maybe like what the air dates were. So like the third band came out on October 8th. And then, yeah, like the next one was out the next week. So I'm guessing they're like, oh, these first 2 episodes are kind of setting up the season, but like no one actually, why do people want to keep watching this? So they kind of like had to put it in to be like, this is going somewhere, guys. Like, we have a plan.
And I mean, like you said, this episode feels like the beginning of this season, like where it sort of kicked, like, and what I've also said, like, it kicks off a lot of the story beats for the rest of the season, plot points for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I understand why they had to do some of episode 1 and 2 the way that they did. They kind of had to wrap up like how or they had to figure out how Dean was going to come back to hunting. And then like the dilemma with Sam, and then the whole issue with Samuel. So like it's starting off some stuff, and then like now it's like, okay, so the boys are back together, they're in the car together, this is what you guys have wanted, and off we go. Yeah. It is kind of two divergent pathways of storyline. So we'll see where, I guess what they're trying to do almost is like appease both audiences, because there are some people who really like all the monster hunting stuff and some people who really like all the angel biblical stuff, and it's kind of like, no guys, don't worry, angels are still in this, but we also have a lot of monster hunting stuff. There's new cool monsters that they have to contend with. Like, just please keep watching the show. Both the audiences, please keep watching the show. We have something for everyone. I feel like that's what it is. But yeah. Yeah. So, I'm just little spoiler for next week's episode.
Yeah.
It's Weekend at Bobby's. Directed by Jensen Ackles.
Yes, no, I knew this. I feel like there's a special features on this DVD which is talking to him about directing, so I may watch it if I have time. Yeah.
Okay. I will think about it. Or I might do the same. We'll see how much time I have. So yeah, next week's episode I'm excited about, or next time's episode. I'm excited about. Don't remember any of it, obviously.
I thoroughly enjoyed this. I enjoyed having Cass back. Please have more Cass, though I feel like he's not in the next episode. I think other people are. So, also, ensemble cast. I love to see it.
Me too.
This is quite an important one. I feel like it's going to be good.
Me too. I'm hoping. You know what's really funny? I'm loving these episodes so far. Like 1 and 2 were okay. This one was really good.
Yeah.
I have a feeling next week's going to be really good just because of who's involved in it. The one after that is also probably pretty good. But I'm actually kind of looking forward to seeing what they decide to do for filler episodes in this season.
Yeah.
Because like they have quite a lot to work with and like there's a lot going on. So like a filler episode is going to feel really strange.
I can't wait because I remember like I said, I remember the main beats. I remember the good ones, and then there has to be so many more. Is the dog episode season 6? We'll see.
Yeah. Oh, it could be.
Yeah, maybe. Cool. I'm looking. Yeah, we'll get there. But yeah.
I know we usually like kind of we kind of take the piss out of filler episodes, but like and we also usually say like, oh, this season's so good because of this, and then we get to a filler episode and we're like, what is this? So
I'm looking forward to it now though.
Preemptively getting there.
Yeah, I am. I'm like looking forward to like when we're like, oh my god, what is this? Like that's what makes Supernatural. Because
it really does.
If it was all good, we wouldn't care as much.
This is true.
Yeah.
This is very true. All right. So at the end of the episode, we'd like to thank the Pixel Agora for his amazing logo art. And you can get that on some merchandise at our Redbubble store. And come talk to us about everything that's going to go on in this season and laugh at my mistakes that I made and publicly said it as if I knew what I was talking about. On all of the socials, we're on Tumblr, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube as Escaping Purgatory Podcast, or Twitter as Escaping Podcast.
So this week we met some angels and we took a little flying lesson and hopefully next week we can find our way out. Bye!
Bye!